President Trump is scheduled to speak with Russian leader Vladimir Putin tomorrow. That about the war in Ukraine and possibly ending it.
A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
Daniel Frey joins me now. He formerly served as the U.S. ambassador to Poland as former Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs. Dan, it's always great to have you at the table. Analyze this phone call tomorrow. Stakes involved for the United States, sense of anticipation in European capitals about what the president might or might not be willing to accept with the Russians.
All of the above. What I'm listening for is whether Putin continues his maximal demands. He's demanded that we recognize Russian territorial conquests. He's demanded that we give Russia a veto over Ukrainian security. Now, we should do none of those things.
Right.
If you
opposes any European troops in there to enforce any kind of ceasefire or settlement.
He opposes European troops. He opposes NATO membership. He opposes arms to Ukraine. He's basically, his terms for a ceasefire are Ukraine's surrender.
Right. Become a vassal state of Russia.
Putin has made no secret that that is exactly his aim. So is Putin going to insist on those maximal aims? Is he going to disguise them by being clever and sly? I've seen him do that. Or is he actually going to agree to the ceasefire or close to it, to be the benevolent peacemaker and get on Trump's good side? So the challenge for Trump will be to decide right on the spot how to react when Putin throws at him whatever he's going to throw at him. And the question is, will Trump push back hard the way he did successfully against Zelensky, or is he going to cave? And if you start caving to Putin, it never stops. So this will be a test, but not necessarily the end. You may not have a deal coming out of this, but that depends on what Putin offers and then what Trump is prepared to accept. I hope Trump pushes back.
How close attention should we pay to the two readouts of this phone call and how rapidly they occur after its end, meaning what the Russians say about it and what the White House says about it?
Well, it is certain that you can't trust the Kremlin readout, okay? Can we just stipulate that? I'm going to listen to it and then reverse engineer it. Like, okay, this is what they say. What do they really mean? The White House statements will be what the Europeans and what Americans should listen to.
Okay.
How they describe it, the language they use, what they say. And hopefully the president will not be Putin's fool. And Putin wants him to be the fool.
And administration officials have said if Vladimir Putin is trying to play President Trump, he's doing so at his peril.
Let's hope so. Now, this is possible. You want to outline an optimistic scenario? Putin overreaches because he's arrogant, and Trump knows that, he feels it, and he pushes back hard, as Trump can do.
Because there are some economic buttons that have not yet been pushed by the U.S. and by the Europeans that could be pushed if things really get ugly on this.
There are economic buttons. There's more we could do on hitting Russia's oil revenue, but there's also on the military side. Trump could say, I appreciate that the British and French are ready to help with Ukraine security. They've not asked for American boots on the ground. They've said that we help them out, we back them up. I think I'm inclined to do that, listening to Putin be unconstructive. I'm not saying that Trump will do that, but your question was, could he?
Could he? Right.
Does he have those
Listen
tools?
very carefully for those kind of things and indications. I want to ask you about something you've been writing about, which is Greenland. And what Greenlanders want, what their relationship with Denmark is, and what Trump may be trying to achieve, but could possibly achieve through not only more diplomatic ways, but more effective ways.
Well, that's exactly the point. The argument the vice president and that President Trump have made for our interest in Greenland is security. That you have the Russians, you have the Chinese, we have security interests. Fair enough. Oh, it's a completely legitimate issue. But everything we want to achieve, we could do so cheaper and better by working with the Danes. I was in Copenhagen a few weeks ago. If we asked them, they would say yes. There is already a U.S.-Denmark Defense of Greenland Agreement from 1951. It gives us extensive basing rights. Moreover, the Danes would help pay for it if we wanted to build another base. So what's the advantage of alienating?
Jawboning them, yeah.
What for? If we wanted a new defensive Greenland agreement, if there's anything wrong with this, I think they'd be willing to negotiate it. The fact is, we have not, to my knowledge, made any requests of the Danes. It's not that they've turned them down. They'd like to say yes.
Filed under, all you have to do is ask. Dan Fried, it's always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.